Hello everyone and welcome back to the third installment of my award-winning series, We Need to Talk About Ponies, where I overanalyze the intricacies of characters in a kids cartoon designed to sell toys. Last time we had a look at Rainbow Dash and why some fans suspect her of being on the autism spectrum, but today we're going to be looking at a pretty blatant disabled character. I don't think Derpy needs an introduction. Starting life as a background pony in the first season of Friendship is Magic, Derpy skyrocketed into popularity and sort of became the mascot of the Brony fandom. Do I have to explain the history of why Derpy is so beloved? It's kind of as redundant as saying, hey, did you guys know that Super Mario Bros. 2 is actually a reskin of Doki Doki Panic? It's just information anyone knows, and I guarantee most people watching this video already know. But it would be bad essay etiquette if I didn't explain who she is and why people love her so much, so I'm going to give the brief rundown. Derpy's popularity comes from an animation error in the first episode where her eyes appear to be crossed. Fans would give her the name Derpy based off of the Derpface webcomic. This would become quite a popular meme as the show staff began capitalizing on it and added Derpy's crossed-eyed appearance in future episodes. In season 2, she would actually get a voice line, but this would start controversy as concerned parents would believe that this is making fun of disabled children. In addition, the episode's writer, Amy Keaton Rogers, was misled into believing that the word derp could be used as a synonym for a disability slur. She has a disabled child herself, and she believed that would go against everything she believed and stood for. This controversy would result in Derpy being censored in this episode as well as in future appearances. I found this controversy to be so weird because I guarantee you most bronies who like Derpy were autistic. I felt as if the situation highlighted a double standard. There are plenty of dumb male cartoon characters, but that's just sort of seen as the norm. So Derpy being singled out just didn't sit right with me. Hell, I don't even think Derpy is meant to be stupid, but I'm getting ahead of myself. Derpy would have a full-on prominent role with speaking lines in the 100th episode. However, her voice actress Tabitha St. Germain would never be credited as Derpy, instead only being credited as Muffins. No character in the show would ever refer to her as Muffins out loud, and ultimately the fans would win at the end of the day, as new Derpy merchandise would proudly proclaim her fandom name. Her popularity was so high amongst fans and the show staff that she was actually a contender as a main reoccurring character alongside the Glimmer Gang. This was planned for seasons 7 and 8, but unfortunately it never went through. But despite this, they still make her a fully fleshed out character. Derpy accidentally moving the date of Cranky and Matilda's wedding by one day is an honest mistake that anybody could make. It's not because she's dumb. In addition, the post office she works at is understaffed with ponies that have no experience using a printing press. The post office she works at is kind of awful and does not accommodate for her disability. They put her on jobs that directly challenge her vision impairment. I mean, even if Derpy wasn't vision impaired, they honestly expected her to lift an anvil, a cart, and a piano in mid-air. I hope Equestria has unions because if that's not unethical labor practices, then I don't know what is. Thankfully, the whole world doesn't have it out for dear old Derpy, and she has formed a rather unlikely friendship. Derpy and Dr. Hooves are sort of a package deal when it comes to fan art. The thought process was simple. Almost every popular background pony often had some sort of relationship with another. Lyra and Bonbon, Vinyl and Octavia, etc. And since Dr. Hooves is a parody of Doctor Who often has a female companion, Derpy and the Doctor were an inseparable duo. What I love about the relationship is that the Doctor sees Derpy as an equal, never condescending or infantizing her. For the disabled community, being seen as an equal is a huge morale boost that greatly benefits our social lives. It pains me that she was a real contender to be a part of the Glimmer Gang, but just never made the cut, especially when this group displays some very complex nuances about friendship. Like, I can imagine a scenario where someone loses their patience with Derpy, learning that it's not enough to just tolerate someone different than you, but to accept them as a part of your life. But what I do find interesting is that even when the show staff couldn't make her into a full character, they were still able to fully lay out her backstory in episodes. Yeah, I bet you didn't even realize this. In the episode Parental Guidance, we see that Derpy was actually from Cloudsdale as a junior flyer, and the fastest one amongst her peers, even those who had become professional Wonderbolts. But as the days went on, her eyes started to become crossed, and her performance started to slip up more and more until she landed in dead last. And just a season prior, in the episode Where the Apple Lies, we see that Derpy later moved to Ponyville as a kid, since flying in the sky with a vision impairment is likely a danger. It looked like she received an optical surgery. However, it didn't seem like it did much, but I guess it prevented from getting any worse. Finally, in the episode The Cart Before the Ponies, she was able to relive her glory days of taking first place in a derby race despite her disability. Her ingenuity and craftsmanship lent her to a superior cart despite its bare aesthetics. This shows she isn't dumb, she's just unfortunate and didn't get the same privileges and opportunities as others because of her disability. And even then, she doesn't let it stop her. She has a different yet equally valid way of looking at the world. You may think Derpy bringing the flameless fireworks to Cranky Matilda's wedding was a potential hazard, but let's break down her thought process. She wanted to make up for her mistake by picking up the flowers for the wedding. The order was not ready, so she needed to find an alternative. She picks up the flameless fireworks because they look just like flowers. She was told that they were non-functional and flameless, so there wouldn't be any hazard if it went off. And what resulted was a spectacle that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for Derpy's unique view on the world. And that's how I kind of interpret Derpy's cutie mark. Cutie marks can either represent a talent or the character of its pony. Bubbles sort of give this impression of childlike wonder and curiosity. This actually fits well with her best friend being the doctor, and why they potentially work so well together. The doctor is enthused by Derpy's character, as she's so interested in the things he's curious about.
There are so many things that magic can't explain, where science and mathematics are the real magic.
Like these? They're pretty.
Ah, yes, my flameless fireworks. Never could quite figure out how to get them to ignite.
How did you learn to make all this stuff anyway?
I've been studying science my whole life. Ever since a particularly traumatic experience as a foe, I've been looking for ways to make sense of the world around me. Science provides explanations of things we never thought possible.
In many ways, a lot of fans see themselves in Derpy. The most sympathetic characters are the ones that are more prone to mistakes. Having a character that is able to display the awkward, sometimes cringy sides of life and not being embarrassed about it is such a liberating feeling. It's so appropriate that she's the mascot of this fandom, because to truly be happy in this community is to be unapologetically yourself. Or like, unless you're a pedophile or a racist. Okay, yourself in the way where it's not harmful to others, you get what I mean. To put it simply, people love Derpy because she doesn't let her disability burden her, and is an excellent display as to why many disabled people are proud of their disability even when an able-bodied person might see it as an inherent negative. Derpy likely has a fictional disability, with the only closest link being Brown syndrome. But if you have Brown syndrome and there's a chance to identify with Derpy, then I don't want to take that away from you. I love Derpy, and she's more than deserved her spot as the fandom's mascot, and I hope to see more from her in the future. Hasbro, please don't leave her out to dry. I am desperate for more Derpy content, and most of her merchandise is very expensive. Please. A bit of a shorter video this week because I had to scrap the video I was working on. I was doing a video going over the Black Griffin situation, but Courtney P recently uploaded a video about the topic that is way more in depth than I could ever do, so I recommend you watch their video. So before I bring down the tone of this video, I want to turn the question on to you. What do you guys think of Derpy? Do you love her? Was she before your time? I'd love to hear what you guys have to say in the comments below. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Thank you for watching. I've been May, and I'll see you next time.